We've all heard about the terrible floods in Calgary. Well, an experimental camera called iServe on the International Space Station is aiding in the effort here. It's a unique opportunity to study disasters like this. And joining me now is Burgess Howell. He is the principal investigator for iServe. And Burgess, first of all, tell us what iServe is. Remind us what it does.
Yeah, Lori, iServe is an experimental camera. It's a test bed camera. Primarily an engineering exercise that we're using for determining best practices, procedures, gaining expertise and experience, and also informing decisions about future, more capable instruments on ISS.
Tell us how we made the connection with the Canadians and how they learned of iServe, or how you let them know you have these photographs.
Well, iServe is part of a program called SERVIR. SERVIR is an international cooperative program, aids decision support in a variety of countries. And our management, primarily our project director, Dan Irwin, has established relationships with a lot of agencies around the world. And we do have some relationships with Canadian agencies. Dan called up some people that he had worked with previously and told him that we had. Of course, when we heard about the disaster on the news, we heard about it, I guess it was the Friday prior, we immediately sent up our commands to try to gather images as soon as possible, and we were able to get them the next day.
And it's really good because you pass over that area. That's a great area to photograph.
Yeah,
right?
It really is. It's advantageous because of the characteristics of iServe, of the ISS orbit. We go over the upper latitudes frequently, and we actually got 4 passes over Calgary in 5 days.
Wow. Well, let's take a look at some of those images. The first one I think we're going to look at is a comparison image.
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
What we'll be looking at here, on the left side, you should be seeing some imagery from a private company called Digital Globe. It was acquired in 2008, and to the right is the scene that we got with iServe on the 22nd of June, just the other day. Wow. The primary difference you see between the two of them is the brownness of the river. The large river that comes in at the upper left and arcs through the city and goes back down through the center bottom there is the Bow River. Now you can maybe see the elbow, which also comes in through the center to the left there. And at the elbow, near center, you see the Calgary Stampede grounds. In the left image, it's nice and dry. In the right image, it's obviously flooded. If you look up to the right of there as well, there's the Calgary Zoo, and there was a really significant problem there. Many of the animals were in serious distress. Some animals got away, and some animals drowned. Following down the river there, you see the Inglewood Golf Club, which is essentially destroyed at this point. And to the south of there, the old Refinery Park, which is a nice public area at the south end of town, and as well as much of that industrial area just across the river to the north of it there, it was severely impacted by the flooding.
What's the next thing we're going to look at?
Well, we're going to go over and take a look at, I think we actually have some footage there of what some other spots in Calgary. But I'd like to talk briefly about another incident, another flooding incident that occurred a few days after Calgary up in northern India in the state of Uttarakhand. A wide-ranging flood event there. Several cities, Badrinath, Joshimath, Rudraprayag, several cities up there were hit. This was primarily because of an early onset and a more severe than normal onset of the monsoon rains. It was a really significant flood event. And of course, one of the compounding factors is that the area up there around these small cities, there are many shrines and temples there, and they're the site of pilgrimages. For instance, in Joshimath and just to the north of there are as many as 500,000 pilgrims a year that come in, and this is the pilgrimage season. So a lot of them were impacted. Luckily, in Badrinath, there were no fatalities, but there were a lot of damaged buildings. I think you see in the first frame there, you see a long shot. This is a fairly wide view. Up in the upper right-hand corner is Badrinath, and through the center there, you can see the swelling of the Alaknanda River, and a series of landslides along the banks there that impacted a lot of small villages. Next, I think we can zoom down to a little closer shot, also of Badrinath, and there you see the Alaknanda River running left to right through the scene. Above the city there, you see a lot of the landslide debris flows. This is where the rain has caused a significant shifting of the earth down the slopes. You can't really tell in these images, but these are very, very steep slopes. This is in the Himalaya Mountains, and it's very steep. Also along the riverbank there, on the south side of the river, you can see that there's some significant changes in landscape, and those are the buildings which have been impacted by flooding through the city there.
These are fascinating images. So what happens after you send these images to them? How do they use these?
Well, in the case of Canada, for instance, they were distributed to the emergency response agencies there. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police also got them. Several of the other ministries, Agriculture Ministry, the National Parks people got involved. There was a significant impact in Banff, for instance, in the national parks. The highway folks were interested. The Trans-Canada Highway was impacted pretty seriously. So they were distributed through a variety of agencies there. The same thing takes place in India. Now, Calgary was a little different. We typically respond to international disaster charter floods events, and Calgary was not one of those, so we dealt directly with the Canadian government. In the case of disaster charter activations, we go through the U.S. Geological Survey is the clearinghouse for U.S. data, and they push it off to the international managers, the disaster managers.
And iServe is a technology demonstration, right? But it's serving its purpose, right?
Well, sure, yeah. We assumed from the beginning that although we are primarily an engineering exercise, the course of the work that we have to do would produce a lot of good data, and this is exactly what we anticipated being able to do. We've really increased our pace and our rate of response for these disasters. Lately, it seems like they're coming one after the other. So we're very, very busy. As soon as I leave here, going back to our operations center and planning some shots in China. So
wow.
yeah.
All right. Well, we'll let you get back to that.
Great.
Thanks for joining
Thank
us
you,
today,
Lauren. Thanks for
Burgess.
having us.